from 7 to 3. Overindulged in flesh like it's free. We're on a fast ride where monkeys killing time with machines. Making love that we don't even feel. You don't even notice if it's her or it's me. But somewhere deep in it's cutting like a knife, so you just kill it with the one. All of a sudden you are free. You call your mom and say, hey, it's me. I just need some more mommy money. I'm gonna spend it, filling up my house, my face, my body, and my tongue, 'cause I just wanna feel good. Using all that's left, somewhere in your chest, on your sweetheart hit and miss. Uh-oh. Fuck it up good, and all you ever understood. heaven, you're crying cause you wanna stay. Quick fix, found in bliss when you feel the heartbeat inside. When you're drunk, when you're drunk, when you're drunk, when you're drunk, when you're drunk. Do you believe in magic? Do you believe in magic? When you're drunk, 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 when you're drunk. Me too, I'm just like you, and I need to fuck it up sometime. I'm stuck with ego trips, selling sex to a mother bar. Sometimes I feel magic, but I manage to fuck up somehow. Getting drunk, getting drunk, getting drunk, getting drunk, and I'm getting high. Do you believe in magic?
Target acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
There we go. Whoa. Do we still have the echo? I do. All right. Let me. Okay. All right. Still have echo. Let's go here. It's probably the problem. Echo? Nope. No echo. Well, maybe a little. Why? Fuck me. I obviously have a little window open somewhere that is saying rebroadcasting my sound. I need to find it. Test. Yep, still there. All right. Well, the good news, everything else is working. I just have this ridiculous echo. Stand by. Test. Test. Okay. So it's coming through there. Oh, wait. No. Yeah, sorry, guys. All right, there we go. Got you. Got it. Figured it out. And now, there we go. Look at that handsome devil. All right, cool. Perfect. That was annoying. All right, so back to reality. I gotta re-enable everything because I turned everything off. And let's pull this back up, and I'll continue on. I don't know how much you got. I don't know how far we got into this. Let's see. We got. Yeah, stream wasn't busted. It was me. Fine on my end. Yeah. Yep. All right. So back to the. I don't know where you guys left off at on the. The debate thing. I'll just start over. So basically, let me pull back the prompt back up. All right. So basically, the prompt is that last year, police in a small Ohio town made an arrest during a drug bust. They accused a suspect of hiding drugs in their anus. To retrieve the alleged evidence, the police took the suspect to a local Catholic hospital for a body cavity search. However, the hospital staff is now facing, the hospital staff refused on moral, ethical, and religious grounds. That's actually not true. We'll get into that. The hospital is now facing charges for defying a court order. That's also not technically true, and have suffered other repercussions for this event. Do you agree with the actions of the medical staff? What should be the limit of a state's ability to compel behavior? Should people be able to reject court orders because of supposed ethical conflicts? Should there be some sort of punishment when that happens? And if so, what would it look like? So that's the prompt. And now we got to get into kind of the the news article about this. So this is so what basically what's gone on is this guy was confronted by police. They then arrested him, and in the process of their search, now there's a couple of things that don't add up, but we'll get to that. So basically, they had these cops were on a drug stakeout. They knew that this was a property that where drugs were being sold and or purchased or used. So they were on a drug stakeout, and they arrested a man that they suspected of hiding a baggie of drugs in his butt. He denied it, but police were certain, so they took him to a local hospital for a body cavity search. The case then swerved into unusual territory. The man would not agree to the procedure, so the police got a judge to order it. The doctors refused, saying it was dangerous and unethical, and later added that it violated the hospital's Catholic principles. So this is a problem with note the debate prompt, which was that they objected to it on moral, ethical, and so on and so forth, which was not actually the case. What was actually the case is that they originally objected to it because the fact was that if they removed it or attempted to remove it, they were concerned that the baggie would burst and the guy would die. They say that later. And the man had refused, and patients are allowed to refuse health care. The police pushed back. The doctors didn't budge. The dispute spiraled. So now the hospital faced criminal charges and been forced to dismantle its in-house police force. Now, I personally did not realize that hospitals had in-house police forces beyond just security. We'll get into that. The hospital has sued the authorities, alleging retaliation and discrimination. And the man who was held at the hospital while the two sides fought over his bowel movements suggests that he was humiliated and violated by the experience. I see a really good lawsuit in that fellow's lap. Anyway, the showdown, now in its 7th month, offers a glimpse into the delicate relationship between police and healthcare workers, professions that have historically worked together closely, but whose missions can clash. That particularly happens when police use the power of the justice system to force medical workers to do something to a suspect, such as a body cavity search, a blood draw, removal of a bullet fragment in search of evidence that challenges their training and ethics. There's a growing awareness among medical workers that they do not have to say yes to police all the time, especially when patient health and privacy are at stake, said G. Sean Song, a law professor at the University of California, Irvine, who researches policing in hospitals. It's interesting. I'm sure he gets paid for that. The dispute last year began as a routine police investigation in a small Rust Belt city on the shore of Lake Erie, 30 miles west of Cleveland. I'm going to use that, Anson Knowles. A government that is literally up your butt is way too powerful. I'm going to use that in tonight's debate. Anyway, so on August 10th, acting on a tip, plainclothes officers staked out a house believed to be part of a drug dealing operation, according to police records. A gray SUV pulled up, and the officers say they watched what looked like a drug deal. Now, this so far is all fine. Look, the officers, if it looks like a drug deal, it looks, follows the pattern, they can obviously check it out and see what's up. The SUV pulled away, and the officers followed in an unmarked car. The officers pulled the SUV over for a minor traffic violation and patted down 4 occupants, including Tony Harris, 31, who had a history of drug arrest and had been sitting in the back seat. An officer said he felt a foreign object near Harris's groin that he suspected to be drugs, then arrested him for obstructing official business. So this is where they actually get into some idea of what's a legal search and when do they need a warrant. The fact that he feels a foreign object near your groin that has nothing to do with anything. It could be a pencil. You could just be happy to see him. You never know. All right, anyway, so at the station, officers strip searched Harris and said they glimpsed a white item at the entrance of his anus, according to the police report. Now, I got to be honest with you guys. To me, that's a little bit. That's a little bit nuts, right? $4.99 comes in from Agripolis. Good to see you, Grid One. Thank you. It's good to see you too, guys. Hit the likes, do all of the things. I'm glad that I'm glad to see that we're getting some support, and Ghost 1978 said he agreed to a officer told him he had the hospital on I'm assuming do a blood test on him. He didn't know about HIPAA. Correct. You can't do that. I was never even in police custody at the time and did. I went there of my own free will from home. Wow, that's crazy. He attended the Wes Watson Prison Wallet Seminar. Absolutely. That seems to be a popular item these days. While at the station, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. All right. So so they arrested him for obstructing official business because they felt something near his groin. At the station, they strip searched him, and they said they glimpsed a white item at the entrance of his anus, according to a police report. The officers then took Harris to Mercy Health Lorraine Hospital, where a CT scan noted something in Harris's bowels, but did not indicate if it was a foreign object. So they did a CT scan, and they saw something. They couldn't tell what it was. Okay. And it didn't indicate whether it was a foreign object or not. The hospital said police obtained 2 court orders for a cavity search, but both Harris and the hospital refused. I agree with that. He should have. He should have refused. In a recent interview, Harris told NBC News that he was not hiding any drugs in his body. He said he objected to a body cavity search because it was too uncomfortable for someone to have their fingers inside me. Interesting. Something women can object to, but apparently men cannot. Doctors cited another reason to avoid the search. If there was a baggie of drugs inside him and it burst, he could die of an overdose. The safest alternative was to allow any object to pass naturally through a bowel movement, doctors said, according to court records. That does seem logical. Seems very doctorish, actually. Let's see. Hooping 101 by Wes Watson. That's funny. A cavity search would be highly dangerous and unnecessary as to rise to the level of medical battery, said Gil Palmer, the hospital's president, in a signed court affidavit. So the president of the hospital said that this was a dangerous thing to do, and his doctors did the right thing by not doing it. The hospital, part of the Catholic health system, Bon Secours Mercy Health, later cited its ethical and religious directives to defend human dignity. Now, notice that this differs from the debate prompt, which said that initially the hospital objected to it on religious and moral principles. It was only later that they objected to it when it became an issue with everyone else. All right, so continuing forward, to defend human dignity, uphold the sanctity of life, and refuse procedures deemed morally wrong as additional grounds not to perform the cavity search. It is not clear if doctors made that argument while Harris was in the hospital. It seems like they are not because it's not in the police report. As the stalemate dragged on, Harris remained held in a 338-bed hospital where staff said no foreign object emerged. Harris said he was handcuffed even while using the bathroom, which he said was degrading. Nothing came out other than natural stuff. Nothing came out other than natural stuff. That's weird to put it that way, but okay. Okay, we're good. All right, on the night of August 12th, Palmer said Lorain Police Chief James McCann called him. Now, Palmer is the president of the hospital. Called him at home and threatened to arrest him for obstruction of justice if he did not comply with the warrant. That would have been awesome. He should have done that. McCann, the police chief, declined an interview, but in court documents denied threatening Palmer. I'm going to go with the doc on this one. Cops lie. They just do. The hospital declined to make Palmer available for an interview. I wouldn't either. That's good legalese there. Soon after, police issued Harris a court summons and released him. Harris was later indicted on charges of tampering with evidence and obstructing official business and is awaiting trial. No drugs were ever found, ladies and gentlemen. No drugs were ever found. This is an interesting case. Harris says when he was finally allowed to leave, he could tell the police were very upset. Lorain County prosecutors sought contempt charges against Mercy Health Lorain Hospital, alleging that the hospital willingly, intentionally, and knowingly disobeyed a judge's order. I don't know that they ever have to comply with said order. Stand by. I got somebody messaging me. Oh, yeah, all good. Then let's see. We got... in response, hospital lawyers accused authorities of trying to bully doctors. The motive here is to send a clear message to medical providers, they wrote. That is, their right to refuse to commit potentially fatal medical battery in violation of their moral, ethical, and or religious convictions is not respected in Lorain, in Ohio there. A New Mexico man won a... Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, I skipped one. These sorts of disputes are rare, experts say, but when it comes to obtaining potential evidence from a suspect's body, Hospital workers must be careful to protect patients and avoid allegations of malpractice. A New Mexico man won a $1.6 million settlement from city and county authorities in 2014 after he was forced to undergo multiple body cavity searches at a hospital, and the Minnesota Supreme Court in 2019 dismissed a drug conviction against a man over a hospital's forced body cavity search. 2017, a Utah officer arrested a nurse who defied his request to obtain a blood sample from a drunk driving suspect without a warrant. Just wait for the fucking warrant, you dumb sons of bitches. The officer was fired, and the nurse won $500,000 settlement with local authorities and the hospital. Again, wait for your warrant. And we're going to go into this. Dana Bowen Matthew, the dean of George Washington University Law School and a specialist in public health and civil rights law, said Lorain Hospital raised the right questions in refusing to comply with the warrant. David Smith, the Seattle lawyer, Seattle, by the way, is completely leftist and shouldn't listen to anything they say, who's represented healthcare organizations for much of his career, said the Lorain authorities essentially demanded that the doctors abandon core principles to do no harm and get a patient's consent. If I were a wagering man, I'd put money squarely on the side of the hospital because this doesn't make any sense. One time, someone got it right from there. All right, so anyway, this goes on and on and on, and basically says the same thing over and over, ladies and gentlemen. It basically, my position on this is actually fairly simple and shockingly, it's shockingly candid. At no point in time can we ever have a situation where the law enforcement is allowed to run over rights. Okay? This is a problem that the entire problem here is not one of whether this guy was guilty of drugs or not. I mean, we have a couple of issues about this. The real problem here is that the officers abusing their authority to attempt to bully basically everyone around them. Okay, they were bullying. I got something on my jacket. There we go. Basically attempting to bully everyone around them. If anyone would like to jump in and discuss or, push back or encourage or otherwise participate, you're welcome to come up. Even Imperius is welcome to come up as long as he will stay on topic and I don't have to kick him off. But anyway, so this is going to be good, guys. This is really good. So number one, right out of the gate, when it comes to your health, the doctors don't have to comply with shit. The hospitals have been through this now a lot. They know what they can and cannot get away with. They understand that at the end of the day, sure, these people are going to be pissed, but who cares, right? Like the cops can do it right or not do it. And the police in the hospital are clashing more than ever these days because, and the one thing I think that hospitals do right is they do at least attempt, they at least give lip service to the idea that the right thing for them to do is to protect patient confidentiality and to do, just do things right. On the other hand, more and more officers of the law are more and more pushing the limits of their authority. The public at large, since we do live in more or less a police state, whether we want to admit it or not, we do. That's a real thing. And since that is actually the case that we do live in the police state, then you have to understand that the officers of the law currently feel like that whatever rights you think you have, you don't actually have those. A lot of them. That's why the First Amendment auditors are out there all the time. That's why they have so many people, so many officers getting, put on blast. So many departments sued. For a long time, law enforcement has basically just had their way, do whatever they want. And get away with it. If they wanted a doctor to cut a bullet out of a guy's leg, the doctor would comply and do it. Now they won't. And really, it's because more and more of society actually is taking the time to understand the Constitution, which they're not being taught in school. They're just not. They're really. We would like people to be taught in school things like the Constitution, but they're not. Right, Ghost 1978, correct. If there's a victim in the hospital, the police are there wanting to question them even before they're out of surgery, and that's crazy. That's crazy. I think in this specific case, my position is going to be that the hospital has every right to the hospital has every right to protect that man's right to privacy. There was a warrant issued, but the doctors have to weigh their responsibility to do no harm. They have to weigh their responsibility to the patient's overall health and well-being. And that's a key thing. The key thing here is that the doctors really were not, the police honestly had no caring about this guy's health and well-being. They simply wanted the evidence to lock him up. Over what? A baggie of drugs that they could get, like the doctor said, just wait till he poops it out? To me, this is a misstep by the police. It's a misstep by the police. Instead of attempting to work with the doctors, instead of attempting to de-escalate this issue down, they continuously escalated it step by step. So I'm going to try and define my position here, guys. And again, I don't know if you guys heard, I have to cut the stream short today because I have a call at 2 Central Time. So I'm going to have to cut it an hour short. So I'm just going to go as quickly as I can through this. Anyone want to come up and give me help me debate prep for this, play devil's advocate, any of that kind of stuff? If not, that's fine. I'll play devil's advocate for myself, but lately that was weird. My chat disconnected. That was weird. Chat disconnected. I wonder if they're working on my internet. That was so strange. Imp, the mods have it in Discord, so you'll just have to get one of the mods to give it to you over in Discord. The debate will be But yeah, I'm normally I'm all for the police. When is the debate? It will be here on this channel somewhere around 7 o'clock this evening. So I am actually I'm pretty pro police. The problem is I'm also pro individual rights, and a lot of police officers are really poorly suited to the job. They don't take it seriously, and they become more of an enemy to the state than anything else, and that we can't really have. So I am pretty pro police, though. So 7 o'clock tonight, guys, we're going to debate this topic. It's going to be, as always, it should be 2 libertarians, 2 conservatives, and 2 leftists. So, right, yeah, Ghost. A lot of them have abused their authority, and we have to, we have to do with work with what we got. The Battle of Athens was great, actually. I wasn't there, but I've heard all about it. I've read all about it. So, all right. Is Imperius coming up or no? Imperius, you got the link? What's up? I just think this is really interesting. Athens, Tennessee. You don't have a link? All right, hang on. Stand by. I may not have put it in the chat. Hang on. I have Imperius in here. Agrapolis, thank you. $9.99 for the grift. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. All right, Imperius, I sent you the link. I'm sending you the link now. Yeah, so being pro First Amendment and pro police are not mutually exclusive. Being pro police and pro law enforcement is being pro police and pro law enforcement are not. I mean, being pro law enforcement and pro First Amendment are not at odds. It's just a lot of police are very bad at their jobs and make it seem that way. So.
Yeah, it's like anything else. There's a lot of people at all jobs bad at their jobs.
Yeah, welcome, Imperius. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, no, police are just a more visually identifiable like result of not doing the jobs right. But dude, there's no higher percentage of police not doing their jobs right than like customer service agents, bankers, teller, wherever. Like people don't in general. It's a product of like the degradation of our whole society that people don't do their shit. People don't care. You know what I mean? It's different, man.
Yeah.
Like when is the last time you ever think cops like walk their beats in neighborhoods and say hi to people and you know what I mean? Like it just doesn't happen. It's just not that,
Yeah. Well, I mean, all right. So I know good cops. I know cops that really care that look out, try and defend against bad cops. I know cops that do the best job they can, that are pro First Amendment, pro, pretty much everything. And at the same time, I'm watching a lot of people these days. I'm watching a lot of content these days that show cops literally trampling all over everything. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, It's a tough thing because I mean, look, we all kind of look at those things and kind of transpose ourselves into think how would we feel in that situation, you know. But a lot of it is also yeah, like it's such an egregious thing that you see, so it stays in your memory. But I mean, the thing is yeah, there's a bunch of bad cops, but if you look at like the amount of like just pure interactions each day between like police and people, you know, it's really hard to say, you know, there's millions of interactions a day, you know, and
Right.
you might
No,
get
I agree
one
with
or
that. I agree
you
with
know
that.
one or two a day that are bad, but seeing the video of it on you know disseminated all over the internet, it's kind of, you know, it sticks more in your mind, you know. That's the way I
So
think of it.
you think what you know? So I'm going to say that by large, most of my um, most of my reaction or interactions with law enforcement have been positive. However, I have had a firearm pulled on me by an officer of the law.
Interesting, really.
Yeah. So I was in Reno. I was driving from Tahoe down to Reno, and I had come through Carson City through the Washoe Valley, and
Okay, yeah, I know where you are.
yeah, so I'm coming into Reno, and the Washoe Valley is like desert, like there's not shit out there, and you come into Reno and you kind of I bared left to go off more towards Sparks, or pardon me, right to go off more towards Sparks, and this sheriff pulls me over because and what would happen is back then this old timey days is that the Las Vegas computers did not uh, talk directly with the or pardon me, not in Las Vegas. The Nevada DMV computer didn't talk to Tennessee's DMV computers, and so when they would run my plate, it would come back that it didn't
Stolen,
exist.
yeah,
No,
okay.
it didn't exist. It didn't come back stolen. It didn't come back. There's anything wrong with it. It just didn't. As far as Nevada was concerned, my tag didn't exist. So I would get pulled over, and I got pulled over several times because of this. And I would just show my registration. So a couple of things that were different here. So first of all, I get pulled over by the sheriff. I'm not in a super high traffic area, but you know, their car's going by. So I start roll, and I got hand crank windows. So you guys don't, none of you fuckers know what those are, but
I used to have that too in my old, yeah.
so I have hand crank windows. So I've got my hand on my wallet because I got to pull my wallet out, right? I know I'm going to be asked for my driver's license, and I'm rolling down the window, because I think that this officer is going to come to my driver's door. I'm used to that. Instead, while I'm rolling it down and I got my wallet about half out of my pocket, I hear a knock on the door on the window on the other side, and well, yeah, and so I reach across and unlock it, and I go to wind the window back up and finish pulling my wallet out of my pocket, and I look back over, and she got her gun in my face.
Oh, it's a chick. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a girl. It was a female cop. And so, and I'm like, whoa, like what's the deal? It's like, we have a gun. And I'm like, not in my hand. It's like, there's a gun on the floorboard under your seat. I said, yes, ma'am. I'm traveling far from home. And I go armed. It's legal in the state. And so I have no fucking clue why she does the following. So she has me at gunpoint. Rather than just sit there, kind of de-escalate it and wait for backup to arrive, she has me exit the vehicle on my side. Right now, remember, she's on passenger side. And she follows me with her gun pointed at my fucking head. As I back around, as I move down the side of the car and come around to the back, and then she handcuffs me and puts me in the back of her car. while she then ran the number on all the guns that were in the car, which there were a lot, but that's beside the point. And so backup eventually does arrive. In the meantime, this female sheriff is, that has pointed a gun at me, basically searches my vehicle without consent at all, just because she saw a gun. And I had already told her that she had asked me about the tags too, by the way. I had already told her that, I was aware that for whatever reason, Nevada's DMV doesn't, wasn't on good terms with Tennessee's DMV, but my registration was in the glove compartment, and my tags, as she should have noted, were not only legal, but they were in date, and they were fine, no problem. And this was nuts, man. It's like the entire encounter was fucking nuts. So, rather than just have me sit there in my seat, my hands on the wheel, hey, we're going to wait here until, backup gets here, and then we're going to, none of that. None of it, bro. Just pointed the gun at my head the whole time. And in the end, I was fucking right. They looked at my registration. Registration matched the VIN. Registration matched the tag. Registration matched everything else. Eventually, I think they actually had somebody call on the phone, the Tennessee DMV. And but that was insane. And so here's the thing though, while I'm sitting there with my, my hand on the the window crank handle, and one hand on my wallet looking down the barrel of this chick's gun, I understood right then that it was up to me to de-escalate the situation. And I was like really, really close to getting shot. And so I moved very, very slowly. Very slowly.
Everyone's told they're taught to de-escalate, but it's called a command and control mindset that they're
it taught. Is. They're not. Yeah, I don't know why the fuck people think cops these days. Kevin's right. I don't know why people think cops are taught to de-escalate shit. It is literally a command and control mentality being taught to our police force. And it is not about being community servants at fucking all.
No, it's about being. They're told that the populace is actually the source of potential chaos, and that they're by subduing the population.
Well, now that goes back to Chicago and New York, though, because Chicago and New York, the police departments were mostly Irish or Anglo, Scottish, Irish, English, and they literally said, "We are your family. It's us against every fucking body." That's the beginning of the us versus them mentality that all cops eventually fall into. I have never met a law enforcement officer outside of the shooting sports and some other various areas, but generically, if I meet a standard issue officer off the street, it is 100% us versus them.
Oh yeah. You're the enemy. You're just a potential threat.
Citizens are the enemy.
Yeah, you're the potential threat.
Yeah, every single one. And actually, one of the things. So I actually asked an officer that worked in Reno. Now he was not sheriff. He was I believe Reno PD, and he told me point blank that they have the rule of two. If they see one gun or one weapon, they assume a second weapon. And so the fact that I had, even though she could clearly see, because I got my butt cheek off of the, you pulled your wallet out in your car seat, right? Like, who the fuck hasn't? Like, you're not sitting flat. You're doing the, you're doing the lean.
You're rolling.
You got to roll up on your hip and get to your wallet, right? So pulled out, she could plainly see I had my hand on my wallet and one hand on the door. I'm not reaching for a weapon, right? And but their entire training procedure is to command and control, disarm. The other thing is that I have, and I think I see both sides of this, and I don't know what the solution is, but I think it's a fucking weird ass shit. Cops will literally disarm anyone near them.
Yeah,
They want to immediately disarm you.
Yeah, they
even
just walk
if you
around,
are legally carrying.
Yeah, they just walk around and go, officer safety, officer safety, officer safety.
Right. Oh yeah. No, that's it exactly. So now I have in Colorado, you can open carry, and I open carry all the time. And so I was in a 7-Eleven, and I was having a very good conversation with the young officer about what he knows I was carrying. I had my holster on the hip, and I was carrying an HK P30 that day, and he says, "Hey man, that's a sweet gun." I'm like, "Yeah man, what are you rocking?" "Well, department issue Glock." "Oh, that's cool." And we're having a great conversation back and forth. An older officer comes in, sees that I have the gun and I'm interfacing with their officer, and comes over, stands behind me, and asks me to hand over my weapon during the conversation. And I'm like, "Fuck you, no." And the younger officer looked very confused. I told the older officer, unless he had some reason that he wanted me to hand over my weapon, he could go fuck himself. And I was a little bit more polite, but not by much. And he said, "Well, it's officer safety. You're saying you're talking to one of my officers." And I'm like, "I'm having a conversation with a human being. You can get the fuck out." And that's and the younger officer did look embarrassed, right? Because he certainly did not foresee that coming. But I don't give a shit about officer safety. You get paid to take a bullet, motherfucker. So I don't. I need my gun. I don't get paid to put myself in harm's way. So, but anyway, back to the medical side of it. What do you think legally? Does the hospital have a legal ground to stand on?
Yeah, of course. Compelled action is a very, very narrow type of especially like compelling like action of an individual. Like unless it's like a contractual agreement, but for like completion of something like a reliance issue. But that has nothing to do here, because they're number one, you can refuse a civil action, like a civil request. You know what I'm saying? Number one.
Right.
Number one, it brings up 13th Amendment issues, because if you have compelled, if courts can compel people to just do whatever they want all the time, you're really under the 13th Amendment. You're a slave. You have there's 13th Amendment issues, because you can't compel people to do things. You can punish people and imprison them and remove their liberty for not doing something. But when a court compels something, that's really it's really frowned upon. Like, unless it's like a civil issue, it's like a contract with, like, you have two parties that were going to build something, and one party finished it halfway, and you can order completion through like reliance on that. But even then, you can't, like, a court can't order like the police to go make this guy build it. Like, no, you would just have a higher penalty and a fee for the non-compliance. You'd have to pay whatever 8 times, 9 times more. But they like a court can't, with like a contractual obligation, go, okay, if you don't do it, we're going to send the police to watch you and physically force you to put those hammers on that nail and do it.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, it's just not.
That's an interesting point. I like that. But all right, but so when they're wanting this evidence, right? Because that's what. All right. So what we're really talking about,
they're looking to obtain evidence. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What we're really talking about is they're looking to obtain evidence. it can be compared. I would compare it to if someone threw a baseball through your window, Imperious, and you said, "That's my fucking baseball now," because it came through my window. And an officer said, "Hey, that we suspect that baseball was used in a murder attempt. We would like it back, but it's on your property, Imperious." Would you think that you'd have to go out of your way to get it for them?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, they would. Even if they came with a warrant, you could refuse a warrant because they're looking for evidence. They're not looking for a crime.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are warrants that you couldn't. It depends. That warrants for evidence in relation to a crime, you can't.
But they'd have to prove that it was that baseball. That it was. I mean, the
if you have a
burden. I mean,
Well,
the burden would be
see if you
huge.
have a reasonable. It's a preponderance of the evidence. If the court sees that, hey, like if an officer witnessed the ball go in there, the court is just gonna side with the identification and the testimony of the officer, just 99.9. So that would be the probable cause that he visually saw. It's just like, for example, if a cop saw a crime being committed, he would have
Sure.
exigent. You'd have something called exigent.
Well, that's exigent circumstances, right?
This is more of a civil issue you're talking, but
right. Okay, let me give you a case. Let me give you a case, and this is kind of the same thing, right? So, a very famous person was flying his airplane that he lands on BLM land all the time, and he flies over this house. Or not really over it, but kind of alongside of it, he looks down to check the runway, make sure that he can land it. It's not really a runway; it's a fucking wall. It's a field, right? And he decides, I'm not going to land there, and he flies off. These guys use their Zoom camera footage to claim that he buzzed them, right? Which is, in theory, I guess well, actually, no, let me rephrase. They didn't use Zoom camera footage. And one of the people that lived in that area claimed that he had buzzed their house and that is, that's against FAA policy and the rules. And so they went to court over it. And this guy says, no, I was checking the landing area. I have a legal right, if I'm going to land there, to check it to make sure it's free of obstructions. And I can do that. Because of who these people were, even though at some point the Zoom, or not Zoom, the whatever the fuck, the camera, the doorbell camera, what are those? What do they call those doorbell cameras? The Ring doorbell cameras.
Ring cameras.
Yeah, the Ring doorbell camera footage showed that he did exactly what he said, and he did fly low and kind of fast, and then back up and left. The law enforcement didn't care anything about the Ring camera footage. All they cared about was the fact that this lady had said that that's what had happened, and they said, well, the Ring footage kind of shows that, and they wouldn't accept it as actual evidence, and they never went to get it. And then when they claimed that they couldn't get it because they couldn't subpoena the right person to get the camera footage, when the guy who was flying the plane just literally walked up and said, hey, would you mind terribly if I had the camera footage? See, there's no onerous on law enforcement to actually gather the evidence unless they want to. Right?
Well, again, it's whatever the cops. Yeah, it's whatever the cops feel like doing. I mean, this is what I mean. Like, cops aren't compelled to really do anything. They don't have a duty to protect you. They don't have a duty to do anything. They have a duty.
Yeah, Supreme Court decided that 100%.
Yeah, they have a duty to ensure the peace, which means in their subjective understanding of what they should do. It's pretty much what they feel like doing at that moment. And in the end, this is the issue. Like, no cop is going to risk their ass for
Yeah.
you if that situation can be taken care of more easy for them. It
Right.
just
Well,
is the way it is.
all right. Yeah. I kind of got off on a tangent there. I got to bring it back. So for the purposes of this debate, I don't care. It's immaterial to me that the church, what grounds the church chooses to stand upon, whether it's moral, ethical, etc.
Yeah, there's multiple causes of action
None of that actually matters. The fact is that the way our Constitution reads, until it changes, they have no duty to enable law enforcement, but they do have a duty of to protect their patient. They swear an oath to protect the patient. Patient confidentiality is a real thing. That's a strong. That's as constitutionally that's held up, where police cannot.
Well, it's not just that the individual person at the hospital is just an agent of the hospital, and the police have to go through the legal department and through the
Mhm.
correct human resources and whatever through the hospital. The individual person is not liable if they refuse to. Like, every business has the right to refuse service.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Well, all right. So here's where we also get into another grounds, which I need to look. Probably need to do some research today on it, because, so like, for example, when my brother refused to go to the hospital when he was dying, and so my mom actually called the sheriff and said, "Hey, if we call you out here and we call an ambulance, can you compel him to go to the hospital for his own good, for his own, to save his life?" And
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. That's correct. The sheriff said no. If he is conscious and he can say no, he doesn't want to go and articulate that, we cannot compel him. We cannot force him to seek treatment. And that same the same restriction on law enforcement to not compel the treatment means that they can't compel anything else. They can't compel a blood sample. They can ask. If they go
Unless
through
they have an actual search warrant, like okay, they can compel the subject of the search warrant that they're going to have the blood test. They cannot compel the person conducting the blood test to perform the action.
Correct. That's they're two different things in
two
play.
different parties. Two parties.
They can compel like, for example, if I had a warrant that said that I could have Imperius's blood drawn, you would have to comply with the
allow
warrant,
the blood to be drawn.
Allow the blood to be to be drawn. But if I didn't have, and I can't think of a warrant.
If you don't have an agent to take the blood,
correct,
how are you going to take it?
Right.
Now,
so
some police officers are licensed to do it. There are some jurisdictions where some police have the training and they are licensed.
Correct.
So there's another level.
Honestly, the correct course of action in this case probably would have been to have called an EMT to the site and asked the EMT to examine the patient, right? Or
a fire department guy, because fire departments usually deal with drug addicts,
Sure.
emergency issues at the scene, and they would have less issue getting someone to take someone.
Well, they're an EMT; they're not a doctor. Doctors swear oaths and things like that.
So no, but they also have EMTs also have that same Hippocratic issues that they can refuse. But an EMT usually won't, because they're used to dealing with so many erratic scenes and stuff, gunshots, gang issues, that they're just kind of like, okay, cop, do what you got to do. I'll side with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, a hospital's a little different because they have, come on, look at how
they have hospital policy to follow. It's not your choice.
Not just that, but these are a lot more liberal people too, where remember the dancing with the coof and all that. You know what I mean? It's a different. These are people that
it's
are
a different vibe for sure.
Different vibe.
Yeah,
like EMTs are kind of like on the scene. Let's get it done. Let's get this person thing. Let's get it out. Get them to where they got to go.
Sure.
Different. That's all I'm saying. Different mindset.
No, I agree with you. I know. I 100%. I mean, I think you're right. But at the same time, while you were right about that, you can't compel a doctor who has who's sworn a Hippocratic oath to.
You can't compel anyone.
Well, you really can't.
You
If I
can't
say
compel
no,
anyone.
you
It's
can
simple.
punish me for it. You can
Yeah,
take me
you
to
can.
jail.
Yeah, yeah. And look, even if the person in a lot of states, there's question if the guys can actually if the police can actually force you down and take the blood. Usually, what happens, like for California, for example, yeah, it's an implied consent state. So if you don't and you refuse the blood test, they can't really force your arm down and jab you with it. But what you do is you get automatically your license suspended. You automatically lose your ability to drive. You automatically lose any insurance coverage for 2 years, and you can automatically get there's other misdemeanor charges that are automatically put on you regardless if your DUI
Right.
is if you're found guilty of it or not.
Well, and that's one of the things the cops really count on is they know that when you're in that situation, you're doing the mental math of this is gone from a simple, just let them look and take it literally up the ass, or spend a shit ton of money defending myself in court to be right. And they know that. They know that that's the calculation that you
You can
run in
beat
your
the
head.
rap, but you can't beat the ride, dude. That's the end of it.
Exactly. That's right. You can beat the rap, you can't beat the right, and you're gonna pay the bill. Like the bill will come due, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's what I'm saying. So, yeah, it's an unfair system, but I mean, what are you going
It
to do?
is the system, though.
Yeah,
It
and I mean,
is.
if you sided the other way, it'd be there's issues that too. You just release everyone. You know what I mean? There's certain look. I think you should have you got to hire police in a little bit higher caliber. I think the issue is I think you need to start moving away from like the lower caliber people that you hire for police. Remember, there are maximum IQ standards for police agencies. You have if you have a
Maximum IQ? I did not
yes,
know
if,
that. Are you
yes, if
sure?
you have a max, yes, if you have a maximum IQ, you can be disqualified.
Mhm.
Check that out. Go down that rabbit hole, Grid.
That's yeah, I don't want to.
So it's a bigger
Maximum
issue than
IQ is crazy.
yeah. Check that out, Grid. Bring that issue up. People will be bring that up in your debate. People will won't believe it's true.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so I don't even know really how to argue this. I'm trying to understand. Like, give me a minute. I'm going to sidebar for a second. Did Jim Bob get bodied yesterday? Is that what I'm hearing, Anson? What happened there? What happened, dude? Did Jim Bob lose his
I think he
shit?
was on Sarah's, right? Wasn't he on Sarah's show or something like that?
I think so.
Like he
I think
wasn't
so.
bought. Like I think he didn't make himself look kind of good because he kind of spurged a little. Like he was kind of
Yeah.
unhinged a little bit. Like he just seemed kind of like unbalanced a little bit, and like he was trying to do the edgy "I'm hard" thing. Like I'm calling people names and going after people. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's all. Like I don't think I think he was bodied in that it was more that like he kind of just seemed like the unstable one in the appearance of the debate. And
Sure.
people I've really seen. Usually he's kind of just like pretty whatever, and he'll call a couple names here and there, but he kind of just stays focused. But yesterday it was
Right.
all just kind of that's kind of maybe why I don't know.
So, oh, that's interesting. What do you? Octavia says that there's
It
not.
is. There is. Yes, there
There's
is.
no. I'll have to look. I'll have to look into that. I'll have to look into that. But so what do you? I'm trying to think of how my positioning on this. My positioning is that the hospital really didn't do anything wrong. The hospital made very clear recommendations that it's just as easy and simple to just let it run its course. There was no hurry. They obviously were able to detain him for that period of time. And to me it makes it look like the law enforcement were being what's the word I'm looking for here? Not authoritarian. I mean, obviously authoritarian, but they were. It seemed like they were rushing. Like they were more motivated. You know what I mean? What's your outlook, Imperius?
I mean, honestly, it's hard with so much intricacies and bureaucracy and stuff, dude. It's really hard to see motivation. You could dig into that for a long, long time. You know what I mean? Um, I think the issue again is the main thing is cops are kind of trained nowadays to just make it so people feel comfortable shopping. That's kind of what
It's
they're there for.
true. That's true.
That is really what it is. They're not patrolling neighborhoods to keep people. They're patrolling major centers of commerce to make people feel that they can go out, spend money for taxes, revenue. You know what I mean? That's really all it is, dude. And that's kind of the issue. That it's they're no longer like back in the 70s or maybe even the 80s and stuff. Police used to like drive down, like people would wave to them. Kids saw them in the neighborhood and wait. Police were like a neighborhood staple, and a lot of the times it's because police were hired from the neighborhood they lived in.
That's true.
Nowadays they're hired from an hour, 2 hours away. They don't give a crap what happens. And usually the newest guys are the ones that are sent into the worst locations, so they become really jaded really quickly.
Yeah, I think I'm going with Ghost 1978. That it seems like they were impatient, and I'm not going to say abusing, but throwing around their authority.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's a throwing around their authority rather than just
Did you see the video on flows last night that we were kind of going over that I was getting irritated? Like the whole
No.
there's a black
I
dude.
don't. I generically don't even get online on Sundays.
Okay, well we were watching this. There's a black dude walking through a neighborhood, didn't do anything wrong, had no thing, and the someone in the neighborhood called the cops as suspicious. Someone walking through the neighborhood. Okay, great. He was not breaking any. They pulled up on him, wouldn't let him leave, kept questioning him, physically restrained him by pushing his stomach, holding his arms, wouldn't let him walk away and everything. And they're like, "Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you here?" Cop multiple times said, "Oh, they don't like you here in this neighborhood." And the guy's like, "Get out of my face, dude. I'm just a black dude walking through." He's like, "I don't care. They don't want you here. People don't want you here. You don't like." And
Oh
literally,
wow.
like half the chat was like, "Oh, he was just doing like he was acting like an asshole." He was. It's like, dude, like that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people out there that are okay with domination if it's domination that they agree with. That's the thing. Like that's the issue. And like that guy, like that, like I literally had that. People are like, "Yeah, he was acting confrontational." I'm like, "You'd act confrontational too if two cops rolled up on you. One was on either side. You said, 'I'm leaving. I'm going away.' You tried to de-escalate. You tried to walk away. You asked literally 100 times, 'What am I being detained for? What? I'm trying to find that.' The cops are literally saying, 'I'm trying to define that out. I'm trying to find out what I'm detaining you for.'" You know what I'm like? It was a joke, and people are sitting there going, "Oh yeah, he was acting like erratic. He was acting like an asshole. He was yelling. It's like anyone would yell. Like anyone would be pissed. Like it's just, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There are horrible cops, dude. There are. And the
Well, I mean,
problem is
obviously, all the First Amendment auditors and all
auditors,
of
yeah.
these audit the what is it? Audit the audit. The
Audit the auditors, yeah.
yeah
Que
is
custodios y ipsos custores. Who will watch the watchers?
yeah.
That's
So
the Latin saying.
when you see all these channels, that go around and the interactions they have with police in modern times is really concerning. I'm going to be honest. So so obviously I had the really bad interaction where I had the cop pulled the gun on me. That was bad. But so let me tell you. So I have two really good interactions with police from when I was and this is why I still think cops are. I just don't see it happening anymore. So so when I was younger, like really young, we used to get in trouble all the time, man. Like it was literally just what we're. I'm just saying I got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
I
we were
should
little
have probably
shits,
gone to
dude.
jail several times. However, so one of the things that we did that at the time just seemed like harmless prank was that we would relocate soda machines, Coke machines, right? And because here they used to be out in front of like every little mom and pop store, every
Yeah, they
little
were on in every
yeah, just
gym, in every office, everywhere. They
they
all had
were
them.
they were just out on the street, out in the parking lot, right? And so
Dude,
we had
remember by the public pools, they'd have like 6 of them just sitting out there.
yeah, and so we would back a truck up and tip one over and take it and then put it somewhere and it was just funny. It wasn't like we were trying to steal the machine. We never broke any open to get the money out or anything like that. It's just kind of a prank, right? It's a dumb thing to do, but we didn't have a Nintendo. That's going to be the reason I say it. But
Did you have Pong Grid by then?
I'm
Did
sorry.
you guys have Pong by then or no?
Oh yeah. I had Pong.
Okay, because my dad, I remember he was saying he had Pong.
Yeah,
and
well,
stuff.
we had Atari. I remember
yeah,
my friend had the Atari like 5200. I had
Yeah,
a
I remember,
Coco.
yeah.
I had a Coco 1, 2, and 3.
See, my dad was a little older for that, but he does remember he said they had Pong when he was young. You know what I mean? He said he was too old by the time Atari. He was already in like his late 20s because he's like 70 now. You know what I mean? So he was a little older than that. You okay, Grid? I think you froze a little bit or something, or maybe I did.
It for some reason it lagged me out again. I think maybe they're
That's
working
okay.
on
Yeah, I
my
was wondering.
yeah. I think maybe they're doing some work or something. I don't know. Anyway, so this huge hulking black police officer caught us as we're literally loading this soda machine into the back of the truck. Did I knock off? Did I drop off?
No, you're good. You're good. I can hear you now.
It was weird.
You were off for a second. I was like muted,
I
and
got
then
you.
you
Yeah,
popped
got
back
you.
on.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, huge hulking black officer catches us as we're loading this thing into the truck. Says, "What are you boys doing?" It's like 4 of us juvenile delinquents, and we're like, "Well, yeah, you got us." we're just we're loading this up, and so and so said we could, and then of course none of that flew. And he's like, "Look, just put it back and stop doing it. We know, we people have seen you. We know you're doing it." Of course, at the time this was kind of we were still a small-ish town, and nobody really cared. So that was a pretty good interaction.
I mean, I
And
had one like that when I was a kid. I mean, I remember running, like me and my buddies, a couple of my friends, we're going to a party and walking up the street toward it. Cop rolled by, saw me with like a 36 pack, my buddy with like a 24, and my other buddy with like 224s. He didn't arrest us. He didn't care. When we were 16, he just made us pour each beer out in front of him, which was maybe even worse.
yeah, probably. And then I had when I got my driver's license, I had a so I had two good reasonable interactions. I had a buddy of mine and I were driving out middle of night somewhere. I forget what we were doing. Probably.
Hey, I got to hop off real quick. I got to call real quick. I'll be right
go,
back.
Go do your work, man. I'll tell the chat. So
no, I'm not at work. I just got a call. I'll be right back.
You're all good. So I have this. I'm with my buddy, and my buddy lived down this street, and he sped through there all the time. And finally, somebody got tired of it. They called the cops. The cops sat there, caught us literally right as we're turning in. He just accelerates like all hell. Cop pulls us over. And at this point, I don't have any real interaction with cops. So I'm like, I'm thinking that he's about to get his car impounded and maybe arrested, and I'm going to be walking home, which would have been terrible. No, cop's like, "Hey, stop this. No, nobody likes it. I know you're being a kid. It's cool. Just stop it. If I catch you again, taking your license, I'm going to talk to your dad, and it's going to be bad." So, okay. So about 2 years later, 3 years later, we're out of high school, into college. My buddy is, I was not with him that night. My buddy basically going home the same way. And he knew the cop cop basically sat at this one spot every night. But he drives by him, gets pulled over, smells like alcohol, looks like alcohol. Because I know that because when he had left where we were all hanging out at, that's what he looked like. And we're like, yeah, you really shouldn't drive. But, we were not responsible humans at that time. And he gets pulled over. Cop could have ruined his life right then. DUI. The DUI laws had just passed like a couple of years before in Tennessee, and they were tough. They were like Tennessee at the time was like one of the top 3 states in the country for DUI laws, and it was horrible. And sure enough, cop let him off. Said, "Hey, I'm going to follow you home. Park your car. If I see you drive through here again drunk, I'm throwing a book at you." So those were 2 really good positive interactions with local cops where they could have been complete dicks, and they weren't. I've actually had mostly positive. Anson Knowles says he's all his interactions with female officers have been garbage. Yeah, actually, all of mine have been too. I've never had an interaction with a female officer that was like cool. So, and there's Imperious back.
Sorry about that. I just had a quick call I had to take really quick. But yeah, if you really want to do a debate on this issue, you should really read this book. I've told Flo and a couple.
I got to debate it tonight on the Reverie.
Well, what I'm saying is you can skim through some facts that are in it.
Oh, gotcha.
It's called Rise of the Warrior Cop.
Rise of the Warrior Cop.
Great book, man. I read it in college or in law school. And yeah, great book, dude. I'm telling you, it really talks about the mindset on how the cops are trained, recruited, how they implement it's a really good book, man.
I mean, I just, as near as I can tell, pardon me. As near as I can tell, in this specific case, I don't believe there's any reason for the hospital to have complied. I don't think there's anything legally that would compel a medical person to.
How is the government going to compel a non-governmental entity to do something like that? Like that has nothing to do with performing.
Even governmental sometimes it's really.
But that's
sticky.
what I mean. But this is even a non-governmental private entity, a religious private entity at that.
Right. Yeah, we didn't even get into, and
you're not even getting into the First Amendment issues because remember they've ruled that that hospitals can refuse life necessary abortion treatment if they. So why would they not be able to refuse a simple cavity search or blood test on religious grounds?
Yeah. So are they able to so wait, they can refuse to perform some medical procedures based on First Amendment?
Of course they can. Of course. There was a whole case on. I mean, the Supreme Court. I think it was this year, or I think it was just recently this last year, didn't they? Or that they heard the case about compelling compelling age hospitals or religious institutions that received federal funding for what was that bill? Some specific bill, and they had to perform abortion. But the thing is they wanted to expand the abortion definition to depression, anything that could specifically mentally harm the mother and stuff like this. So yeah, this has been going on for a long time. You cannot compel a religious institution to perform a religiously observed act. Like it's the Sisters of the Poor case.
Right. That's the same way that they can't go into a church to bring out a criminal if they're receiving sanctuary.
No, you can do that. No, you can. No,
you can.
Simple warrant. No, simple warrant.
Okay. All right.
And
Maybe I'm wrong.
exigent circumstances work too. No, that was what for a Homeland Security and ICE rule for asylum at schools and churches for illegal immigrants. They weren't allowed to pursue into those. Yeah. But no, I mean, there's no sanctuary. That's something. There's no special little
No,
place.
no sanctuary laws anymore.
No. I mean, there is that in that whole immigration debate, but in a criminality
You know, I
mindset.
thought I was pretty sure that I read it at one point, and you know, this is 30 plus years ago now, but I was sure that I read that if you sought actual sanctuary from a church for, like, you were a murderer or a
No. If a
that.
church hides that, they're harboring. They're arrested. Those priests are going to be.
Oh,
No.
interesting. Okay.
Oh yeah, you're harboring. You're aiding and abetting.
Cool.
It's no.
That was my misunderstanding. And that could be from another culture.
It's kind of like, I mean, there used to be in old times, 1700s, the whole idea that you could run into a church and you can't shed blood in the house of God kind of thing.
Sure.
And, that kind of, but in a common, no, there's no, I mean, if you have a warrant, you can walk right into a church and grab somebody out of there.
All right. So that part of it is
but it's more that it looks really bad if you do that in the community. Just kind of like, that's why ICE didn't want to do that, because it looked in public relations.
Yeah, optically, it's got to be horrible, right?
Horrible. It's public relations, corporate nightmare. But again, it's more. I think what we really have to look at on these things is they're trained to, like, human beings are just tools. Like when you go to work like anybody else, whether it's an analyst, a data software engineer, you're working in kind of an auto drive mode in your mind on how you're trained. You're going through the program, you're putting this in, you're putting that code in, you're putting this in, you're dragging whatever. I mean, judges, lawyers, doctors, it's all, you have step-by-steps, you have paradigms on how you analyze things, what you go about paperwork, it's all like that. So cops are no different. They're in a paradigm where they're instructed to do this, and this, and this, and this. And that's it. That there's no, I don't look at, like, some of them, yeah, of course, are there some monsters in every field? Of course. You know what I mean? But these aren't the most intelligent people usually. Okay. And they don't really know that much. And then if you add in ego, like if you don't do what they say, when people, for most of the time, 95% do what they tell them to do because they have a gun and they have, you know what I mean? So then it goes, you have a stupid person with an ego issue. What do you think's going to happen? You have a super chat, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that's solid. I agree with that. Mr. Boulay comes in with $5. Doesn't a CT scan require radioactive dye injection?
Depends. I had my CT scan for my disc displacement and did it. If it's like an organ-based one, it is. But if it's like a bone or structural muscular, no.
That's interesting. Yeah, if a patient suspect refuses to sign a consent, the hospital can refuse.
They can refuse anyways. They can't. You can't.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there are tons of questions. If the police order and commandeer their property, the CT machine, that's takings.
So this is where it kind of gets interesting, right? Like, if they were to, for example, if he agrees to if they ask for the CT test and he agrees to that, thinking that that's as far as it's going to go, and then the next thing is, well, we don't believe the CT test. Now we want to do a body cavity search. We want to go invasive. And he says, no, I've already consented to one semi-invasive procedure. I'm not consenting something else. I see that as him. He was at least good faith. The criminal was at least good faith, and the citizen was at least more potentially acting in good faith.
Yeah, but there's no good faith consideration in that kind of situation.
Well, I understand. Yeah, I understand, but I can see how.
In the overall scheme, when that's brought up, people are going to look at that suspiciously and be like, "That's kind of," you know what I mean? I get it. Yeah, like the guy's not really hiding anything but he just doesn't want your finger up his ass.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He doesn't want. Yeah. He just literally doesn't want the government up his ass.
Yeah, like, and I get it, and I think and this is a lot of this too is dependent on like jurisdictions too.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in kind of a more jurisdiction, I mean, sometimes to say in a blue state, like this doesn't really happen in blue states because there's so many attorneys looking around for this kind of shit. This happens like usually in some kind of like one-off instance in like Georgia, some outward county that they bring some dude in late and the guys piss the cops off and they just want it done. They want to rail this guy. You know what I mean?
The cops are obviously emotional about it. Like it would sound like they were just doing their job. That's the other problem I have is that liberty, justice is supposed to be blind and deaf and dumb, and these officers are obviously not doing.
You get the justice you can afford.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the reality of the world. And I'm in the back grid. There's a link I posted in the private chat of Streamlabs. If you want to bring up that link really quick, because someone was telling me down in the chat that that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
The Second Circuit Court of Appeals, long time ago, okayed IQ limits and intelligence limits for police officers.
Yeah. Okay. Let me gotta do this, and then all right, we'll move this over here. Be nice if I could make it full screen. Doesn't seem like I can.
Take your time, Grid. We're all just relaxing here,
Well, I actually have to jump off in a few minutes.
You gotta get out of here. Okay.
No. Yeah, I got a phone call to take.
But anyway, you can just read the title. I mean, read.
No,
the title.
I got it. I'll.
Okay.
It's coming up in just 1 second. Yeah, it's just I can't. It won't. For whatever reason, that article doesn't want to do full screen.
You can just read. You can just read the article. Just read the title. I mean,
yeah, the title is "Court OKs Barring High IQ for Cops." In Connecticut, New London, Connecticut, a man whose bid to become police officer rejected after he scored too high on an intelligence test has lost an appeal in his federal lawsuit against the city. The Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New York upheld a lower court's decision that the city did not discriminate against Robert Jordan because the same standards were applied to everyone who took the test. This kind of puts an official face on discrimination in America against people of a certain class, blah, blah, blah. He has an IQ of equivalent IQ of 125, but interviewed only candidates who scored. Oh, he scored 33 points on the exam, which is equivalent to an IQ of 125. The police only interview candidates who are score a 20 to 27 on the theory that those who scored too high could get bored with police work and leave soon after undergoing costly training. Bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah, but do you see what I'm saying? It's just been around for a long time. People don't know. Like,
I
mean, I'm not saying I'm smarter than it. I'm just in my job. I mean, it's in my field. But
I got you.
if you look up this shit of what really goes on, people have no idea, dude.
That's bullshit, man. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, that's let's bring that up tonight, Grid, and I'm sure you'll win some kind of.
That's crazy that you can be that not only can you be too smart, but the theory that the reason they're not hiring is because they might leave.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny. Like, what do you admit to? Do you admit that most of the time you get funding for doing nothing, or do you admit for you know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna admit?
Yeah, like, oh damn, son. Damn, and a county prosecutor actually said that in open court, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing is that a county prosecutor actually said that, stood up and said, "Your Honor." Oh yes, that's That's great. That's a great way to end this stream right there. That's awesome.
I thought you'd get a laugh out of that. That's what I'm saying.
Hey.
You know, stick with me, Grid. You'll get a couple laughs once in a while.
Yeah.
I got stories of going through this
This
shit.
is
I'm telling
great, actually. Like, I mean, yeah. Look, I'm okay with them just saying, hey, there is one of the tests that they take for in a lot of departments actually measures how compliant you are and how much.
Yeah, they have personality tests like those.
Yeah, it's how the what do they call it? It's the fuck, I can't think of what it's called now.
Yeah, there's a name. The scientists
it's pliability. It's your pliability index. And
but there's a certain name for the scientists of the actual tests, though. Too, I forgot. I had to take one too. They test like how you perceive things and how you look at things in different situations, interacting with different people and ideas and shit like that, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's anyway. So that's pretty interesting. I can't believe that they actually said that it was because at too high an IQ they'll get bored and wander off into a new job.
They'll just fall asleep in their cars,
That is great. Isn't
that funny? Yeah.
That's pretty fucking. I got to be honest, like that is pretty fucking funny. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go raid Glenn. I guess might as well. He's on, and I've got to take a call here in mere moments.
Did you see Anson's chat? Bring up Anson's comment.
What's that?
Bring up Anson's comment.
Glenn is streaming from the hospital. He's finally getting a stream. Oh yeah, he'll be a real man. All right, that's awesome. We're gonna leave that up for a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, go over and watch Glenn Lawrence live from the hospital. And I got to go take a phone call.
His balls are finally dropping.
And yes, Glenn's balls are finally dropping.